Narrative-heavy games like Baldur's Gate 3 typically aren't known for having incredible co-op experiences, but as somebody that's put hundreds of hours into the early access version, as well as other Larian RPGs, I'm here to tell you that this is the best co-op experience that you will ever have, ever. Period. Across all games and across all genres, because there's no game that does it quite like this. And looking around the community, I'm realizing that there's a lot of new players that are coming in that don't really know a whole lot about CRPGs or Larian games. Maybe they haven't played one in the past. So I figured like it was a great opportunity to, well, sit you down and tell you 5 reasons why Baldur's Gate 3 is the best co-op game ever. Really, ever. Baldur's Gate 3 offers this rich, beautiful, and expansive world to explore. And doing that with a friend is an experience unlike anything you've ever had before. Secrets can literally hide behind every single corner. Either you're exploring separately, or you're working together, and you guys end up stumbling upon something, or maybe one of the characters has high enough perception to see something where one of the other friends didn't, or maybe there's some other stat that allowed you guys to be able to uncover something that was hidden. Or sometimes, maybe it's just the luck of the die is on your side. There's really no telling what you can find together, or what kind of trouble that you can get into. Players can encounter a myriad of factions, characters, and side quests in the game, from powerful mercenary groups like the Flaming Fist to organizations like the Zentarum. The game is filled with intriguing groups that offer unique storylines and opportunities for cooperation or conflict. I can't tell you how many times that I've played with friends in the past where we've walked around a corner and all of a sudden one of our characters rolled perception out of nowhere, opened up a secret door, and now all of a sudden we're delving into a dungeon that we didn't even know that was there. And that was just on one playthrough. We run it with completely different characters and all of a sudden we just don't get access to that. Or maybe somebody finds a book and then all of a sudden they can unlock it because, you know, they have high enough magical abilities to be able to see what was behind that book, or be able to open a magical tome or something like that. There's certain areas of the game that you won't even have access to unless some of your characters or some of your friends even stumble upon it in the first place. I think being able to have this world that you can explore, and the experience is so different from player to player depending on all kinds of different choices, is something that's really unique about Baldur's Gate and, well, just this genre entirely. And it's something that just makes it that much more special and that much more memorable of an experience when you're playing it with friends. Now, my second reason is the story of Baldur's Gate. It's exceptionally engaging due to its combination of compelling narrative arcs, morally complex choices, and inherent mystery that surrounds the Mind Flayer infection. You as the player have been infected with a Mind Flayer tadpole. And because of that, the game is already filled with this tension and mystery, and as you try to grapple with the powers that this tadpole can give you and the consequences of those newfound abilities you may try to enact, the web of factions, characters, quests, all of this stuff is adding depth and intrigue to the story, presenting all kinds of the players, whether it's you or your friends, with all these different dilemmas and impactful decisions that will shape the course of the entire narrative. And this isn't just one player's decision, this is every single player's decision. The ongoing threat of the Mind Flayers and the mystery behind their plans, it's this incredible suspense that is driving your curiosity and is really investing you in trying to find out what's really going on in Baldur's Gate. Overall, the story of Baldur's Gate 3 is captivating and immersive. It's an experience, again, that you haven't really had before in a lot of games. We're so used to playing shooters and things like that, where the story really isn't all that engaging, but because of the more slower pace of this game and the weight of every single decision that you make, it really just makes for an incredible experience. And this is one of, if not the coolest part of the game, is that every single player has their own choices to make all the way throughout the entire game. Whether that's factions or quests or the main quest or whatever it might be. Maybe you kill an NPC on accident, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I can't tell you how many times I've played with friends and they made a decision that I didn't want them to make, and then all of a sudden we're bickering and fighting, but we just kind of have to live with those choices. Not to say that I haven't done the same as well. I have a friend of mine that really likes to play a very good, true-hearted character, so when I make a pact with a demon, he's not all that happy. The conversation that you get to have with your friends, the debating back and forth of the choices that you guys want to make, the role-playing that you choose to do, that's what makes this game so unique in its experience and so unlike anything that you've ever played before, especially in a co-op. I can't tell you how special and how cool these moments are that you get to have with your friends. And it's something that you're going to cherish for a long time. It's something that you're going to remember for a long time. And yeah, I just love it. And before I forget about saying anything, keep in mind, all of these decisions, once you've made them, they're set in stone, which gives you a vast amount of replayability with your friends or even by yourself to go and explore some different decisions in the future. This is something that you just don't see in a lot of other games. And that's what just adds more and more value to being able to play this game and be able to play it with more people, because you get to have more varied experiences every single time you guys play, whether that's picking different characters or classes or different choices or taking different paths or whatever it might be. I mean, they've talked about how there's 174 hours of cinematic dialogue in this game. Well, that's because there's so many choices to make. Really is a beautiful thing. Now, maybe you're not into the narrative, and that's fine, but we can't talk about Baldur's Gate 3 for not talking about the combat. Baldur's Gate 3 delivers deep and tactical combat that requires strategic decision-making and really precise execution. The game utilizes a turn-based combat system, allowing players to carefully plan and coordinate their actions. With this wide range of classes, spells, and abilities that we have at our disposal, players actually get to consider their positioning, terrain, enemy weaknesses, anything they can to get some type of advantage in combat. The inclusion of environmental interactions and physics-based mechanics further enhance the combat depth, whether that's you pushing somebody off a cliff or lighting grass on fire, offering opportunities for really creative strategies and dynamic battles. Whether you're engaging in close quarters combat or you're utilizing ranged attacks and magic, Baldur's Gate 3's combat demands really careful resource management and teamwork, rewarding players who approach each encounter with strategic thinking and adaptability. And this is where this insane engagement comes in that you, again, just don't get in other games, and it's what really sets this game apart outside of the narrative, is that every single encounter that you're walking up to, you and your friends are always constantly making decisions. Okay, hey, I'm going to sneak up and I'm going to go over here so that I can get higher ground and be able to do, more advantage or more attack advantage, more damage advantage. Damage advantage. We're going to call it that for today. Or you're paying attention to the terrain. You see that there's a stream of water underneath some enemies, so you want to be able to use some lightning abilities, but you need to make sure that you tell your friends, because if you don't, well, then your melee buddy is also stuck in there and he's shocked just along with the rest of them. This ability to be able to strategize with your friends, constantly make these different decisions, it adds so much more depth to the gameplay, and it just makes it that much more engaging. You're actually sitting there talking with your friends, and you're actually talking about the game rather than talking about other things. Not to say there isn't time for that as well, but it's what makes these experiences in the game that much more special. It's because everything that you do, whether it's the narrative or the combat, there's always choices that you're making as a group, rather than just you running off and going and doing your own thing. Now, you could do that, and I've had some friends that have done that, and it did end very well for them. Speaking of going on personal missions, let's talk about character customization and progression. Baldur's Gate 3 offers extensive character customization options, again, like you haven't seen before, which empowers players to create unique and personalized characters. From choosing among the 12 subclasses or their 46 subclasses, the races and sub-races, or all of the different character backgrounds, to customizing your appearance and details like hairstyle and facial features, players have a multitude of choices to make their character their own. They can further refine their character's abilities and skills by allocating ability points, selecting specific skills and spells while they're leveling up, to eventually picking a subclass that allows you to play to your tailor-made playstyle. And when I said that this is a cooperative game, it literally starts from the menu system. When you guys are creating your classes, you're already discussing what kind of party that you're going to form, and sometimes a few friends are going to go rogue and they're going to make whatever that they want to make, or sometimes you guys want to make something that has a lot of synergy. It really depends on what you want to do, and to be honest with you, any party makeup can make it throughout the entire game. But before I was talking about a lot of the weighted choices and things like that, well, that's also based on what kind of classes that you pick, and also even the races that you pick, because in Baldur's Gate 3, every decision that you make, even from the menus, will depend on how a lot of other characters in the game are going to receive you. Sometimes other people will try to be allies that may have been enemies, and vice versa, which again makes for insane amount of replayability and a lot of really cool interactions between you and the game and your friends in the game and just everything in general. It makes it that, like, no matter what you do, you're always going to have a unique experience when playing this game. And the more you roleplay, the more you get into the choices that you make, the better the experience becomes. Man, I really want to play Baldur's Gate 3 right now. So on to my last and final reason, and it's actually kind of one that most people probably aren't even talking about. It's modding support and longevity. Baldur's Gate 3, just like Divinity and Baldur's Gate 2 and the other games before them, it's a game with a ton of replayability, which is pretty obvious from a lot of the things that I've already discussed, but also on top of that, it has an insane modding community. Baldur's Gate 3 embraces modding capabilities, fostering a vibrant community of creative players. And because of that, we're getting all of this user-generated content. Larian actually provides tools and support for modders to create custom content, including new quest, character items, campaigns, heck, even entirely new classes. This opens up endless amounts of possibilities for players to extend their gameplay experience and explore unique adventures crafted by the community themselves. The modding community enables the game's super long lifespan and offers players a platform for their creativity where they actually get to share it themselves, and then we get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. This ensures that Baldur's Gate 3 will continue to evolve and provide fresh content far after its initial release. And honestly, in my opinion, as somebody that's experienced the modding community from Divinity Original Sin 2, I would say that the modding community in this game is just as active and just as crazy as some of the people that work on Skyrim mods or Minecraft mods or any of the other great games that have great modders. This community absolutely loves their games. We love Larian. I love Larian. You probably also love Larian. A lot of people do, and because of that really positive culture that they provide and all of the tools and support that they provide the community, this game is constantly getting new content and all kinds of different things all the time. So even after you and your friends have played a bunch of different classes and have played the story in a bunch of different ways, by the time that you've done that, there's already mods for new classes that people have already dreamed up, or side quests, or heck, even campaigns that people have designed themselves. We're not even talking about going and playing tactician mode, which is far more difficult than the regular mode of the game, or we're not even talking about future expansion content or really anything else at this point. Heck, the game has a DM mode where you can actually play it just like you would play D&D on the table. It's just such a cool game, guys. And I'm so excited to play it. I love playing the game. I love sharing the game. I love talking about the game. I love seeing other people get excited about the game. And I just can't wait to see where it goes in the future. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, drop a comment. Subscribe to the channel. I'll cover more Baldur's Gate stuff in the future. I plan on streaming quite a bit of it as well, so if you would like to, you could follow me on Twitch at the link below. Outside of that, we have a community Discord if you'd like to hop in, talk about RPGs, Baldur's Gate, or anything else. Yeah, that's it. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, my friends, and I will see you in Baldur's Gate. Peace.
You gotta check this out. I just taught my cat how to talk.
Sub.